So Konami just did this really awesome thing, a create a card project or whatnot. They took 32 strategies and players got to see them in a single elimination bracket. Players would vote to see which strategy deserves more support, and then eventually the winner would get more support. For some reason, Konami thinks that there isn't more than 32 decks that deserve support. Like seriously, who are they kidding? Now granted, there is a disparity between decks that are decently playable to not even really existing. Strategies like Unchained are like, what are you doing? And then there are strategies that actually seem to be coherent like Photon, so I'll give you that, Konami. Some decks just are not salvageable. But seriously, you really think that there's only 32 decks that deserve support? Fortunately for us, there are more than just 32 strategies, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 decks that are just 1 card away from being competitive. Now, as you should already know, I have an amazing Yu-Gi-Oh community, so not only did I decide to ask the community tab on YouTube, I also asked my Twitter, because Twitter is like the most amazing social media platform since MySpace. Come on, bro. You remember when you used to set your MySpace up and you used to have the music playing when they came to your page in your background? Mine was banging. I know yours was. We probably lost some friends over the top 5, but that's beside the point. This strategy is a fan favorite deck, and the character that plays him in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal is often compared to Kite. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure his name is Kite. Don't kill me in the comment section if I'm wrong. The Galaxy Photon strategy is one of the strongest strategies in all of anime. Granted, Galaxy Photon as a strategy itself hasn't seen competitive play, but it is an Exceed based deck built on summoning some of the strongest rank 8 monsters in the game. A lot of these powerful Exceed monsters were seen in competitive play at one point in time, and some of them have actually been banned. So the Galaxy strategy in totality might not be a competitive strategy, but it has some really competitive cards. Now, the Galaxy Photon strategy does revolve around Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. There are tons of card effects that will be enhanced when you have this card or using this card as material for it. And my favorite thing about this deck is that it is a combo based deck, but unlike a lot of combo decks, it doesn't require particular cards, just a few Galaxy cards in your hand will typically do. The biggest problem with Galaxy is consistency. For some reason, Konami decided to split up the Galaxy Photon strategy into Galaxy monsters and Photon monsters. Like, why couldn't they all be Galaxy Photon monsters? It would have just made sense. If there's an anime reason, then go ahead and tell me why. Now, that typically doesn't complicate strategies, but certain spell cards, really powerful spell cards, need particular cards, which does ruin the deck's consistency. There are actually so many ways that this strategy can go about being competitive, but I think a Galaxy Photon spell card that can search a Galaxy Photon card from your deck to your hand would probably be the best way to do it. So if Galaxy does so happen to win the creator card, we know what we're gonna ask for, right? More Galaxy support that supports other strategies but doesn't help the Galaxy strategy. Unless you're a Galaxy player, then probably that spell card I mentioned. Now, I do feel a little weird talking about this particular strategy because some players love the deck. I mean, they're like pop star idols, so I can see that. But a lot of players hate the deck because it's probably the first genuinely competitive burn deck that doesn't just burn. The Trickstar strategy was once a meta staple. I mean, this was the go-to deck for dweeby glue eaters, as they were like the lolly monsters of their time. Kind of like how Sky Strikers did it, and then Dragon Maids did it. If you haven't noticed, in every format, there's that lolly archetype that the glue eaters love. The thing that I love about the Trickstar strategy is that Konami did fool us into playing a burn deck, because Trickstar's main core mechanic isn't to burn the opponent. It was highly consistent through its fill spell in Trickstar Light Stage, allowing you to add any Trickstar monster from your deck to your hand, and the card also froze your opponent's back row. That's really good when you're trying to play some monsters to your side of the field. Trickstar, Candina, Lycoris, and Lilybell were the perfect monsters for the deck, because not only did they fit the theme of burning your opponent, they also provided you advantage by being able to summon themselves to the side of the field and potentially get some free card advantage one way or another. Now, I feel that Trickstar would be really competitive in today's format, especially when cards like Dwarven Lockbird are considered some of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Trickstars actually had this combo where they can completely banish your opponent's hand and you get nothing out of it. Now, this sounds really bad, but now that we fast forward forward into 2020 Yu-Gi-Oh, there's decks that can rip every single card out of your hand, and they don't even take you on a dinner date. At least the Trickstar pop idols look cute. Now, there is one thing that can make the Trickstar deck immediately competitive, and that actually revolves around the Forbidden list. If Trickstar Light Stage came from 1 to 3, then I feel that Trickstars can have a pretty good shot at the meta. But Konami doesn't even have to go that route. All they have to do is give Trickstars a search spell card. That literally puts Trickstars back into contention, and if they wanted to not make it a splashable deck, make it so, you know, put some restriction. Don't put a restriction. I hate cards with restrictions. No boundaries. Let her be free. We are at the end of the current Create a Card project, and it would be biased of me to mention Photons in this video without talking about Insectors. Now, Insectors were actually a really competitive deck inside of the 2012 meta, if I'm correct. Yeah, it was the beginning of Zexal. I remember it being a really oppressive deck, and to be honest with you, it technically can still be a really oppressive deck. The Insector strategy is an insect-based deck. Who would have guessed? That focuses on equipping other Insector monsters to your main Insector monsters to gain additional effects. The main strategy of the deck was to equip Insector Hornet to Insector Dragonfly. Once you equipped it to Dragonfly, you can send Hornet to the graveyard to destroy an opponent's card, but Dragonfly would allow you to special summon another Insector monster. From there, you can special summon monsters like Insector Centipede, which would equip the Insector Dragonfly back from the graveyard to your Insector Centipede, meaning that you can destroy another card on the field. And because an equipped card left Insector Centipede, you get to search an Insector card from your deck to your hand. Now, right now, that doesn't seem really powerful, but back in 2012 Yu-Gi-Oh, that was stupid oppressive. I always loved how the Insector strategy would swarm the field due to your opponent's resources, almost like how real insects would. Now, the really awkward thing about this is that Insectors are still really good. The reason why is that Insector cards don't have a hard once per turn restriction, meaning that there's been some crazy loops that have come about using the Insector strategy. I would be extremely hesitant to giving this card support, meaning that if Konami does give it support, it's either going to be really bad and not matter, or we might be moving towards an Insector format. Anyways, if you want to move closer towards that Insector strategy, a way to search Insector Dragonfly is the only thing the strategy has ever needed since its existence. Like, yeah, you got pretty damn close to a tier 1 deck just with that. Now, I did think that this strategy was like the second coming of Cyber's decks. I thought that this deck was gonna be too strong, so strong that I bought the main card for $30 each. They're 44 cents now. They're 10 cents. I'm gonna buy 44 of them at 10 cents each. I bought it. The Marine Set strategy has a lot of things going for it. These Water Cybers cards have a ton of versatility. From Marine Set's Blue Tang, the card that, you know, I should have definitely waited on in price. Not only being a free Foolish Burial for the deck, allowing you to send a free Marine Set's monster when it is linked off, so basically when you play the deck, you can excavate the top 3 cards from your deck and add a Marine Cess card to your hand. The Marine Cess strategy is quick to stack on advantage, with a lot of the link monsters being able to provide you a card when link summoned or sent to the graveyard, to being able to set up an Apocalipse Fort Towers type situation. In essence, it's just a huge monster that's unaffected by card effects for you non-Yu-Gi boomers. The Marine Set strategy even has its own built-in infinite impermanence. What could go wrong with the deck? Everything. The biggest problem with the Marine Set strategy is that, one, there's not enough great Marine Cess cards to hold the strategy together. There's seriously like just 3 good Marine Cess main deck monsters. The Marine Cess strategy also only has 1 good Marine Cess trap card, so you pretty much know exactly what I'm gonna fix. Now, there is an easy fix to both of this, and it lies in a new Marine Cess trap card. This new Marine Cess trap card can be activated from the hand while you control a Marine Cess monster, and it should be able to special summon a Marine Cess monster from the deck. It also has a graveyard effect that can banish itself to destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field up to the number of Marine Cess cards you control, and voila, Marine Cess is an uberly competitive deck. I find it crazy that the last strategy I want to talk to you about came out in the GX era, but actually didn't peak its prime into the Synchro era. And to be honest with you, this deck has pretty much stayed true to it which is a greatness and a flaw. Some decks love to flip-flop on you. You get one type of deck and then it just goes way left on you. Nah, this deck is true to its roots. The Gladiator V strategy is one of my favorite strategies in Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys should already know right now. I'm like, man, I'm that girl in your high school that just has a lot of friendships. That's how I am with Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies. The Gladiator V strategy is a battle-based strategy. Anytime these monsters battle, whether they're destroying an opponent's monster or inflicting damage to your opponent's monster, or if your opponent is attacking into these guys, they can tag out, meaning that they can return from the field to the deck to special summon a different Gladiator Beast monster. The Gladiator Beast monsters gain effects when special summoned by different Gladiator Beast monsters, and they also can contact fusion, meaning that they return themselves to the deck to be able to special summon a Gladiator Beast fusion monster to your side of the field without the use of polymerization. Now, back in the day, this strategy was a terror, and I'm not gonna lie to you, the more I talk about these nostalgic decks, the more I just want to make like a tournament of like decks of old school, like old school Insectors versus Gladiator Beast and Teledad and stuff like that. That sounds really fun, but only old school decks. Go ahead and destroy that like button and let me know down below in the comment section if that's something you want to see. I think that tournament would be like dope. But Gladiator Beast's main card was Gladiator Beast Geysers, allowing you to destroy 2 cards on the field, and then when it battled, tagged out to 2 other different Gladiator Beasts. And a lot of times that would result in Gladiator Beast Heraclinos, which has been completely power crept, but back in the day, it allows you to negate a spell or a trap card by discarding a card. That card was dope. Now, the biggest problem with the Gladiator Beast strategy is that it stayed true to its mantra. It's a battle-based deck in an era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where monsters fighting monsters, they just pull out guns and just start shooting each other now. Konami has tried to soft patch this by giving us cards that had Test Tiger-like effects and Wakanda Forever Test Panther, but I think the deck needs to be taken a step further. A Gladiator Beast spell card that would tag out a Gladiator Beast monster as if that Gladiator Beast monster battled would be perfect for the strategy. It would be amazing at jumpstarting so many plays. I don't know, make it like twice per turn too, because they need it, you know what I mean? Well, that's all that I have for strategies that are just one card away from competitive. Fortunately, I'm not like Konami. I'm not gonna ignore every other strategy. I'll continue to make these videos as long as you continue to destroy that like button. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, it does take a lot of effort to make these videos. The least you could do is just, press a button for me. Also, be sure to check out these other videos. They're really dope, and I'll be sure to catch you on the next one.